So Daniel, you know your sister Andrea and her husband Dan are expecting their first baby down in Florida, and they're looking at houses to buy, and they're going to, purchase. They're planning on purchasing a house, and they'll probably get a 30-year mortgage. The mortgage rates are low right now, but when they go and buy that house, take that mortgage out, they're going to have a lot of papers to sign as part of that contract, but they're going to have a contract. And that contract is more for the bank's benefit than it is theirs. Why? Because the bank is going to be loaning them, a bunch of money, and the bank wants to know when they're going to get the money. They want to know what their credit rating is. Dan and Andrea's credit rating. They want to know how much they're going to get paid. All these things. That's what contracts do. They say how much is going to be paid, when is it going to be paid by, how much you're going to pay monthly. And part of that is understanding the credit rating of the person that is you're loaning the money to. And that's for the bank's side of things, that's a beautiful thing. I'm Andrew Adjemi.
I'm Daniel Edgemy. You're listening to Financial Strategies. Today, we're talking about investing with a crystal ball or investing by contract. And I have a sneaking hunch that contract you were just talking about is going to be the contract part of our section today.
Exactly. You got it, Daniel. That's exactly right. And because in that contract, that mortgage contract for Dan and Andrea, when it comes to our clients, it's the reverse. Instead of our clients borrowing money, they're loaning the money. They're loaning money to these various companies. And there's a contract. The contract says when the company is going to pay the money back by. The contract says how much the company is going to pay in the meantime. The contract says, as part of that whole thing, we understand how strong the company is and what the credit rating of the company is. Just like we have credit ratings individually, companies have credit ratings, and so we're able to see that. And so that gives security, a certain amount of security to investing. That where it's a kind of a no-brainer compared to, oh, do I buy this stock or not? Is it going to go up or is it going to go down? What's it going to do? And in the meantime, well, it goes up, but now it goes down. And now what do I do? Do I sell or do I buy? Well, with this kind of investing, it doesn't matter. If the value comes down, if the chicken gets skinnier in this case, right, the value goes down, it's okay because the chicken is still producing eggs. And so if it's still producing eggs, you're still getting money. You can buy more chickens that are skinny, and so then you're going to get a ton more eggs from that standpoint. But this is something that Wall Street doesn't want people to understand, because this is not how Wall Street makes money. This is how people make money. And so we want you and our listening audience to be able to understand this. That's why we have Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Edgeby, because people don't know what people don't know. We want to educate you to be able to make smart decisions when it comes to your retirement.
So you're saying that by investing by contract, just like a bank knows when they give out a mortgage, they get to ask for all the financial documentation to make sure that the person they're lending the money to is worthy of giving them a mortgage. They charge them an interest rate based upon that. And then they know when the contract's going to end,
right,
and how much it's going to pay.
Yeah.
Before they decide if they want to take that.
Yeah.
And the investors can do the same with their money.
That's exactly right. That's what I'm talking about.
That's what this investing by contract is all about.
Yeah, but and the crazy thing is, when people are investing with crystal balls, with so many times today they're by crystal balls because they're doing the disease of ease. They're buying mutual funds. You know how hard it is to choose a mutual fund? Everybody, if you're in our listening audience, if you're at home and you're near some paper and a pen, you ready? Put your pen on the paper. Ready? Put your pen on the paper. I'm going to do it here if you're watching our YouTube channel. And ready? Here's how hard it is to choose a mutual fund. Ready? Make a check mark. That's how hard it is to choose a mutual fund. That's why it's called the disease of ease. So many people choose investments like that, and it's a problematic if there is ever an issue. And are there issues? Yeah, there are issues. The stock market goes three directions: up, down, and sideways. And if you're going down or sideways, especially if you're taking money out, that's a real issue. So we're talking about purpose versus performance and the disease of ease. Do you know how your money is set up? That's what we're wanting you to look at. If you have a financial person, Are they using the same words you do? If you say you're a conservative, well, is that the same definition of conservative that your advisor is using? Because a lot of times people think a lot of advisors use mutual funds as being conservative, but in actuality, most of the people I talk to that use conservative talk about uh, preserving their money. Everybody wants to make money, but they want to preserve their assets. They don't want to lose any money, and you can lose money in mutual funds.
And ask that advisor, ask them if the market went sideways. Not that I ever think this would happen, but if the market went sideways for 5 years, how much money would I make? And then the second question, how much money would you make?
There you go. I want to remind you and our listening audience, you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew Daniel Adjemi. We're getting ready to wrap up the show, but we still have a few more minutes with you. Today's topic is investing with crystal ball or by contract. And we're glad to be able to be with you today. And we're giving you a companion piece to today's show, the importance of financial defense. Call and ask for it by name. Financial Defense, 800-725-7616. Call now. Operators are standing by. Well, Daniel, what are people supposed to do about this? How can people invest for purpose, invest by contract, not by crystal ball? I mean, to go out, sure, we got smart people listening to us. I know they could go out, they could study this stuff. They could go get some college courses. They could, do all kinds of learning with that. But is that enough?
No, what people typically do, you mentioned earlier, it's the disease of ease is you buy a fund, you buy an ETF or a mutual fund to get the diversification. And so what ends up happening is everything becomes correlated. So everything turns into an equity, right? So you own bonds and a bond fund. And we just talked about you get a contract with a bond. So you could have a bond that comes due in 1 year. So you earn X amount of interest on it. You get your principal back in 1 year. You could go out
Nice.
to 30 years. So these things have different correlation. They do different things. You could tack in other types of contracts in with them that work differently. But the problem is when you put it all into this wrapper that says diversified mutual fund or diversified ETF, right? They're all equities. They all end up doing the same thing in bad times in markets. And you don't have that contract backing it up that says you're going to get this amount of money at this with this rate of return. And so you want to build a portfolio that has the diversification and that is not correlated to equities.
Right.
If you
Right.
want equity exposure, you can tack that in. Okay. But what you want to look for is you want to look for things that are not ridiculous valuations. So what is ridiculous valuation? We said we talk about the Buffett indicator. The Buffett indicator says you look at all, the stock market, you look at equities divided by GDP. And 100 means 100% means it's getting frothy. It's a little bit, the earnings aren't really justifying the market caps of all these stocks. When Biden took office, not that it has anything to do with President Biden, but when Biden took office, that valuation was at 190.
Wow. Ouch.
So when stuff is at that type of valuations, the correlation, you have to be careful that your fund that says diversification on it, is it really diversified or is it just another one of these equities wrapped into this thing that are at these crazy valuations? Um, so when you invest by contract, you compare contracts to do different types of things, have money coming due so you can take advantage of things. And it puts you back in the driver's seat. It puts you back in control of your finances and of the income coming into your portfolio so you can have the lifestyle you want to have.
So what I hear you saying is don't try this at home. You can go out, you can educate yourself on this stuff, but there's just too much involved to do all the research, and then you don't have the experience involved. But what you need to do is look at your assets and to know how your assets are set up. Many times I do second opinions for people on their assets, and I find that most of their assets are not really diversified. They become, sure, they have a bunch of different things, but a lot of them have what they call overlap. A lot of them are the same thing or same types of things, and they're not diversified enough. Everybody, I think, listening to this understands how important it is to be diversified. Ecclesiastes in the Bible, Ecclesiastes 11:1-2 says, cast bread upon the water. After many days, it will come back to you. Give it unto 7 portions, even 8, for you don't know what disaster will come upon the land. Pure wisdom of Solomon that says diversify. And so many people are not diversified enough, and they have too much of their money in crystal ball, in hope. And hope is not a retirement plan, but purpose and contract is something that will be able to help you have something that you can live on. Now, if you're in our listening audience, our YouTube channel, you're listening to this right now, if you want, for whatever it's worth, I mean, you tell me, if you want to us to do a second opinion of your assets for you, take a look at it. We'll do an MRI on it. Daniel can do it. I can do it. Whichever one it is you want. We'll be glad to do that for you, free of charge, because you're one of our listeners and listening to today's show. But, we're not pushing ourselves, but the point is, you need to do something. You need to know what you don't know. And if you keep listening to the same people all the time, are you going to know what you don't know? No, you're going to just get more of the same stuff. And I appreciate you listening to us today. And today's show has been called Investing with a Crystal Ball or by Contract. You've been listening to Financial Strategies that handle Daniel Adjmi. The companion piece to today's show is the importance of financial defense. Call and ask for it by name when you call 800-725-7616. We also have the book to the next 5 callers, Common Sense Income Strategies, written by a friend, Michael Easom, and CPA and PFS. We have this available to you. It's a bestseller on Amazon, and glad to put that in your hands to help you be able to educate yourself. And if you want us to do that free second opinion, ask for that as well. Say, I'd like a second opinion, 800-725-7616, 800-725-7616. Listen, you've been listening to Financial Strategies. We're glad to have you on board. And until next time, I hope you have a stress-free retirement.
And remember, when things are as crazy as they are, think about 1997, 1998, and then remember, defense wins championships. It's time to get defensive.
Exactly. Bye, folks.